Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Productions, UGR TV. This your host, Brother Rich. I'm in the building with Red Pill, and I want to speak with the brother Red Pill. The brother Red Pill, him and Blue Pill. I'm sorry, excuse me. Blue Pill and Red Pill. They always dealing with the movies. I guess the last video I did with y'all with the movies was on the Oscars. Something that was kind of interesting just happened, and I just wanted to kind of touch with y'all on it. I know y'all real big on the representation of blacks in films and how it affects the psyche of people all over the world, not just black people. And I know a huge complaint that a lot of black people have had the last couple of years was the onslaught of slave movies that we were being bombarded with. We was just like, damn, The Butler, 12 Years a Slave, Django. You had the Roots mini series on TV. So one of the things that I always heard people say while this was happening was, why don't they make a damn Nat Turner movie? They need to make the Nat Turner movie. If they want to make a slave movie, make the Nat Turner movie. So there's a brother named Nate Parker who he set a sales record on Tuesday at the Sundance Film Festival. He got a 17.5 million distribution deal from Fox Searchlight to produce The Birth of a Nation. And that's going to be a biopic about the 1831 slave rebellion led by Nat Turner. So what a lot of people was asking for, I guess it's coming to film, but the thing is, they're saying that Byron Allen offered him $20 million. So I don't know if, us protecting our image is important. I don't know if him getting this deal from Fox Searchlight, is it going to change the narrative a little bit? I'm not quite sure, but that's what I'm here to talk to you about. What do you think about this? Everybody asked for it, and it seems like it's coming, Blue Pill. So what do you think about this Nat Turner movie that rocked the Sundance Film Festival last week?
As I observed, after we had our conversation about the Oscars, of course, Jada Pinkett and who else? Oh, Spike Lee. They called for the boycott. So there was a lot of conversation being centered around the Oscars and by proxy Hollywood and the issue of diversity and the depiction of melanated people on screen and things of that nature. So there was an outcry, there was an uproar, and I'm sure that there was a gauging of public interest being done at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Because all of this is used for data mining, especially anything that's happening dealing with the social networks. So appropriately, Sundance Film Festival comes along, and the brother debuted this biopic that he self-wrote, self-produced, and also starred in. And, as they say, the rest is history. It received a standing ovation. Of course, it was extraordinary work from the brother, is what we've been saying, that if given the opportunity and when we're allowed to do our own things, we're going to do it at a very high standard. You know what I'm saying? So this brother's work was applauded, and it was rewarded, and it was awarded the highest take. I think that this is a perfect opportunity for Hollywood to give the people exactly what they want, and they don't have to option a script. They don't have to cast. They don't have to, do any of those things. All of those things have already been done, and this brother brings along something, a golden plate. They know that the audience their appetite is whet. They know that this is probably going to be an Oscar contender, so automatically they have a galvanized way to, eclipse the viewership of what this Oscar year is going to be, because it's going to be a record-breaking viewership year just based on the controversy, and it leaves people again we keep using this word and it keeps throwing us, you know what I'm saying, the appropriate ways to bring it back up, and that's a dichotomy, you know what I'm saying? And once again, they've juxtaposed two situations against one another. So you have the protest, you have the outcry, and then now Hollywood is like, well, look, we're giving you Nat Turner. You know what I'm saying? Fox Searchlight gave you 12 years a slave, but this is the sister company of the same parent company that's giving you Empire and Fox News. You know what I'm saying? And Donald Trump and all that shit. So they like, yo, you know, it kind of like nullifies the protests in a way. You feel me? Because they know that this dude is going to be a contender for the Oscars, and everyone is going to look next year to see if he's going to get Best Film and Best Actor and all of these things. So they have reappropriated the conversation, you know, and this is telling. Not only is he shattered the record, but you got to peep the science of how he has culturally reappropriated the entire aspect of Hollywood, because Hollywood started out with Birth of a Nation. You know what I'm saying? Hollywood started out in the early 1900s with a movie called Birth of a Nation, which was a KKK propaganda film. You know what I'm saying? So he has reappropriated that name, Birth of a Nation, and he's made this slave biopic or slave revolt biopic about Nat Turner. How appropriate. You feel me? At the time when the whole history and, you know, utilage of Hollywood has come into question. Well, what is their use? You know what I'm saying? Who are they here to service? We told you last time, you know, get a book called Empire of Their Own if you have any doubt as to who were the benefactors, who were the progenitors of Hollywood, why was it created? You know what I'm saying? Harry Rosenberg, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, Rabbi Harry Rosenberg and his people, you know what I'm saying? They're the very ones that created this particular machine, this propaganda machine, to create what we were fed as the American dream. There was no such thing before the Jews came to Hollywood, you know, and created this image. So here we go with the Birth of a Nation, the reappropriation of that particular program and paradigm, now telling the story of our brother Nat Turner. A very interesting story at that. So we could go into the parallels of that particular story and how that ties into the conversation taking place in society and in particular in the conscious community.
What had happened was, I'm sure that you spoke on, you know, you shared the sentiments of, you know, of the observer. The fact that, you know, on Monday they were like, Oscar so white, hashtag Oscar so white, Will and Jada bandwagon. I ain't even watching it this year. You know what I'm talking about? We need our own shit, you know. There was a plethora of articles that came out after we did the video, or after me and Rich did the video. No, we did the video talking about it became a trending topic and things like. And then they got the kibosh the minute out of here. My dude went and sold the goddamn Nat Turner, you know, a movie to Fox Searchlight, the same people that was responsible for 12 Years a Slave, right? So they already rocked him to sleep like, yo, you know, we did this already. We ran down this road. We good when it comes to slave porn. This is what we do. You know what I'm saying? We like Vivid Entertainment for slave porn. And they cut him the check. The whole thing with the Byron thing is interesting. You know what I'm saying? Byron offered $20 million. He went for 17.5, and they said that was the biggest deal ever at Sundance. You don't say. I didn't know that they was cutting. I didn't know that they was buying films for such a cheap price these days. You know? I don't know. How much did the damn film cost to make? Was it, what did he say? He self-financed it. Yeah. So now the conversation is not about boycotting Hollywood. Now the conversation is not about having our own. Now the conversation is not about our own award shows. Niggas is immediately talking about that this is an Oscar contender. Maybe we could get a new,
Yeah, they've locked in 2016 already. They've locked in the next Oscar. Hook, line, sinker.
Yeah.
And niggas don't got no choice but to tune in because it's gonna be a question as to whether he's contending for best film, best actor, best director, the whole kabush.
So going back to what me and Rich talked about in our last video, niggas don't know what they want. They are so wishy-washy. They are so on the fence. They could be manipulated with a push of a button. Like you said, the Matrix responds accordingly to you niggas and your bullshit. You dig what I'm saying? So now it's not about our own shit. It's about let's just make our own stuff and then sell it to them. Then we reap all of the rewards. But that's a win-lose. That's not ownership. You sold that shit. Niggas is trying to get a sale now. So now it goes back to what can we get out of these crackers? Now it goes back to now we gonna just be responsible for building our, creating our own budgets, making our own things, but you still need their screens. You still need their award shows. You still need their festivals. That shit is at Sundance. Okay? Yeah.
How does it just seems like 0 to 100 real quick. How does it go from not being able to get this type of imagery on film, as far as like a Nat Turner, to a bidding war? You get what I'm saying? It's like at first one day you're not welcome at all with this film. He got a whole bunch of opposition for making the film, but then he presents it at Sundance. And he has a bidding war from the Weinstein Company, Paramount, Netflix, Byron Allen, the company he went with, Fox Searchlight. So how does it go from trying to be people trying to blackball him, don't want him to bring this film out, no, we can't show this on film, to, now it's a bidding war. Now you got the most expensive price for a film at Sundance. How does it go from one side to the complete other so fast?
Before I even answer that question, I want to still remind the family that Danny Glover didn't get Toussaint, right? Toussaint that he self-financed, he directed, and he put forth, and they shut his ass down, okay? Bigger than a slave revolt. We're talking about a revolt where, Haiti was liberated and became its own. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, I respect the Nat Turner story, but we're talking about a story on a whole nother level, okay? Because Nat got skinned alive. They quartered his ass, like how they do the jerk chicken. And they beheaded him, took his brain, took his gonads, okay? So when you scream victory and you talk about the whole Nat Turner.
Yeah. And his actions caused the death of 200 plus slaves that had nothing to do with the revolt, plus the 60 that did. So if anything else, it's speaking of a story of what? You know what I'm saying? You make that sacrifice and there's others that got to fall in your name. Yeah, they can fuck with that. I'm saying, but that's an ideal and a concept that niggas need to get in their mind as well. You feel me? Because they don't even want to do the 1-for-1 trade-off out this motherfucker. Let alone the 1 for 200.
So
Facts.
Blue says that the Matrix responds accordingly. White Hollywood was facing a dilemma. White Hollywood was facing what they call a backlash. White Hollywood was facing the fact that they're contracted, right? They're contracted employees. Let's be fucking clear. These are employees that are contracted to a corporation. They're employed, like when you niggas get riled up at the water cooler and start talking about a strike, what do? All right, we're going to give you niggas a quarter or 30-cent raise. Okay? We're gonna quell, you know what I mean? They get rid of the troublemakers. They box out the troublemakers, right? Then they elect one of you niggas to be from the stockroom to manager, and then you start, and then you the glitterati Negro now. So now Nate is the new nigga.
Like Byron said, they do with Al Sharpton.
Facts.
The cheapest niggas on the sales block, he said. They could buy this nigga for next to nothing and quail a revolt and quail a protest. You feel me? So
there was a Nat Turner insurrection taking place over there in the Hollywood Hills. There was becoming an insurrection. There was, you know what I'm saying? Pause. There was a bubbling. It's familiar. It's like the Nat Turner story. You know what I'm saying? So Hollywood was beginning to heat up. The slaves were getting restless. There was word going around the plantation that these niggas wasn't gonna pick cotton anymore. What did they turn around and do? They went and cut a fucking check. Because they know what niggas ultimately want. Because they knew that Will and Jada shit was really steeped in the fact that it's about that money. It wasn't really too much about the power. It was about that bread at the end of the day. She was upset that the big homie didn't get that fucking nod. So he could go ahead and get some more bread out of these crackers. So they went and tagged Nate Turner or Nate Parker, cut the check. You know what I'm saying? Made him the new glitterati Negro. All right, you niggas is acting crazy. We're going to go ahead and crown a new nigga. You know what I mean? And they will parade him around. He's on the press junket already, smiling and beguiling. No offense to the brother. You know, no offense. You know, but it's the game. You know what I'm saying? So that talk has immediately been shut down. Immediately. You gotta love them, man. You gotta love them. These motherfuckers is crafty.
You know, one of the conversations that, if you watch certain YouTube channels, you hear people, once they feel they elevated past a certain level of consciousness, they criticize the Bible and say that, you know, that's what's been holding black people back. We need to get rid of that damn Bible and move on. When you study the history of Nat Turner, you'll find that he was a deeply religious man. Yeah. He was into that Bible. When you look at the story of Harriet Tubman and you hear the story, she was into that Bible. She had a gun in one hand and a Bible in the other hand. So we have these heroes, you know, Black History Month, people are going to have Harriet on the wall. They're going to talk about Harriet in the school. Some people will talk about Nat Turner in the school and at home. But we're praising these people, but they were into a book that the majority of people who feel as though they've elevated consciously say we need to get rid of. So what is it about our heroes that they seem to have benefited from the Bible? They seem to have helped progress the black community with the Bible, but yet the people are telling us to put down the Bible. And I don't know. I mean, what you guys, it's kind of weird. What you think?
Our ancestors wasn't bitch ass niggas overburdened with too many options, right? Sitting up criticizing what anybody would do for liberation and rebellion. That's the difference. They weren't victims. They wasn't hoe ass victims that want to criticize how another man go about getting his freedom. So, you know, I hear it being said that they was utilizing the Bible because that's all they had and stuff. Nigga, that's all you got. Okay? It's a conglomeration of a particular amount of stories from our glorious past or what have you, but we live in that particular epoch and era. And there's certain things that could be culled from those stories and those experiences, and that's what the homie did. He was considered a prophet. He was a preacher, but he was considered a prophet because he was being communicated by way of that book. You know what I'm saying? And that's what he was moving on. He was moving on the you know, on the prophecies and you know what I'm saying, the instructions that he was getting from whatever spiritual force was communicating to him. You know what I'm saying? Whether it was Aladuma Array or whoever, by way of the Bible, by way of. So it's like, come on, man. Our ancestors were never not alchemists. You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors were never not able to take one thing and see themselves in a story, if even inspirationally, if they didn't identify face to, like you niggas still be singing Jack and Jill. You niggas watch Disney. These fucking females think they Cinderella and the sleeping, you know, princesses and shit like that. Where they get that from? Frozen, yeah. That shit ain't African. Fuck out of here.
That's Fantasy Island.
So it's okay when you snorting up and shooting up Americanism, you know what I'm saying, and all of its facets. But yo, black ass wouldn't literally be here. I'm not talking about in America. I'm talking about here in this particular place and you know, condition that you're at, whether that's plus or minus, if it wasn't for those people that were inspired by that book to cause a level of rebellion. Because irregardless of how the story is being told, because it's going to be reappropriated and told many different ways, but they're saying that that rebellion is what led to the Emancipation Proclamation because of the outcry by Southerners. You know what I'm saying? When they wrote his book and put his book out, he sold 50,000 units. Who? The lawyer who wrote Nat Turner's book. Mm-hmm. Okay? And he was hung, yes, he was hung on 11/11. All right? This thing has a lot of implications to it. All right? And he put his first print out. Now, printing press was early. It was new. He sold 50,000 books. That's more than some of you niggas. You feel me? And slaves wasn't literate at this particular time, so Europeans was reading his story.
And free Negroes.
And however, yeah, they said they petitioned the state to get rid of free Negroes because they were saying the free Negroes were responsible for fomenting this level of rebellion in the minds of their slaves. So a lot of these things are connected to other things that were done, whether this is, you know what I'm saying, redone history or it's historical truths and facts or what have you.
Yeah. And
yeah.
The same way that we could watch our brothers Tazariak, Hashar, the Hebrew Israelites get busy with that book. You know what I'm saying? They're pulling out passages and they're weaponizing those passages to work for them. We're talking about, my father explained to me the impact of the post Martin Luther King, you know what I'm saying, mentality throughout the church. Okay, because I remember deacons with guns, and I remember, you know what I'm saying, people going to the church when I do my study, how the church was a rest haven for revolutionaries and people of a certain mind state. We're talking about this post-docile, post-integration, niggas only reading fucking 10 passages to their congregation forever, you know what I mean, and not going into them gangster verses. So I believe that he was going into them gangster verses like Harriet Tubman was going into them hard body verses. She was going into those verses that will basically free a nigga out of his fear and break him out of the chains of fear and empower them and charge them to basically, you know what I'm saying, it would turn them the same way that the Quran, certain passages in the Quran could turn a nigga into a fucking jihadist. Based on those passages, they were written for the purpose to charge you as a warrior. So therefore, we're talking about, we can't measure what they're doing nowadays in the church, You know what I'm saying? Based on what they were doing in the church back then. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
That was the only book that they had, according to what people are saying. Well, you niggas got 1 million books. What's your excuse?
Got the Art of War now.
What's your excuse? So they utilized what they had, and they made the best of it. Same way that they took chickens and hog mogs and all of that shit. And at that time, they made the best of it. Yeah. It allowed you to get to where you're at this particular. It pushed you to the point where you was able to do better and get to where you're at. You know what I'm saying? Name me 3, 4, 5 movements that pushed the needle in society that did not use some sort of biblical text or Quranic verses and things of that nature. In this society,
yeah, don't go fantasy on.
Don't go fantasy. I don't want to hear about 5,000 years ago. In this society, where you niggas got exposure to 1 million fucking texts, every ancient text known to man, right? Library Alexandria on your iPhone. Mm-hmm. Name them. What have you extracted? Where you're able to rile people up and inspire them with a level of spirit where they fucking chopping heads off, B.
Because look, the Haitians use the Bible. The motherfucking Maroons use the Bible. The Cubans use the Bible. Okay? I could go on for days. Like these people, the Brazilians use the Bible in the favelas and whatnot. Not saying that they only used it. Those 3 or 4 different groups that I mentioned, they also infuse within the Bible African traditional practices. So Haiti have the voodoo, the Jamaicans got the obia, the palo mayombe and things of that nature coming out of Cuba. Okay, so they utilize that book and superimpose African traditional systems into the book, merge them. That's where they found their power. If you want to remove that, if you want to take that away, if you want to pull that from somebody, what are you going to give them? What are you going to replace it with? Yeah. What are you going to replace it with? How many of your verses tell a nigga to get busy? Okay? How many verses will charge the DNA to get busy and pick that thing up? I want to know.
It's magic in their books, man. Fuck these niggas talking about.
Just one last question. Why would they, for those who are curious, they probably earlier heard you say that they removed his brain. Why would they remove Nat Turner's brain? A person would think that y'all just making shit up when y'all say things like that. What's the purpose of them who don't know the Nat Turner story of after the man passes away, after he dies, skinning him and removing his brain?
Well, I'm on a quote with my brother Dr. Umar Johnson said last week in Brooklyn. By the way, he'll be back on Know the Ledge on February 9th, and we're going to have him go deep into this as well. He said that they removed his brain and they sent it to Harvard to research why this melanated man was 100% fearless of Europeans at a time that the program of fear was very motherfucking successful in the hearts and the minds. Now, we know the mind does not reside in the brain of man. You know what I'm saying? But it still is connected to particular triggers in the brain that you can find neurological pathways, you know what I'm saying, to speak to, okay, is this on? Is this off? You know, is this area inflamed and shit like that? So they still have our brother's brain in Harvard. And they're going to be, I believe, they're going to be giving back the brother's brain. And Umar said that there's going to be a ceremony sometime this year where they're going to finally be able to intern his body. You know, he's not buried yet. This is not an ancestor. Nat Turner. They got his brain.
They got Geronimo's brain.
They got Geronimo's brain. So Lord knows what they probably did with his heart and other things. They cut him up. You know what I'm saying? They cut him up. They harvest him. So, you know what I mean? This is necessary. You feel me? This is necessary on many levels. You know what I mean? That this conversation and the distribution of this film comes out, you know, but it's a catch, it's a dichotomy, you know what I mean? And it's going to come out during a time when race relations are going to be super high based on the presidential elections, based on the things that are going to be said, based on how we see, you know, if the president makes it out of this presidency and won. You know what I mean? So all of these things are going to fit perfectly into multiple agendas. The thing about us that we always have to figure out is, will our agenda supersede their agenda? It's always like a competing race. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, it's you can, if you see it on the ethereal realm, it's like it's just outpacing each other within seconds. You know, when is is ours going to kick in before theirs? Bottom line, are you going to be able to utilize it more than they're going to be able to utilize it for the propaganda? Are you going to be able to utilize it for your inspiration? You know what I'm saying? Nigga, do you have any fucking Nat Turner in you? Okay? That's what the spirits want to know. All right?
Watch that and charge up.
So,
you know.
Yeah, they you know, they're gonna look at it different. Yeah, they're gonna get Bundy on your ass.
Donald Trump gonna be like,
yeah.
All right, guys.
We don't need no more Nat Turners out there now, do we?
We're not letting any more in the U.S.
Okay? We're not gonna let any more Nat Turners out there now, do we? So they know exactly how to motherfucking quill your protest.
So, what I want to say before we close is this. We've been on Brother Rich's platform for over a year, you know, doing monumental work with the God, you know, as we have been doing monumental work with other platforms, and we've been sharing you know, our vision of what it's going to take to compete, or what it's going to take to even have even an indentation in this matrix. We spoke about the fact that the possibilities of making your own film, the possibilities of owning your own content, the possibilities of creating your own platform to tell your own stories. This is revolutionary. This is actually the fact that we have to take the liberal arts and create a renaissance and build it around our culture. This culture is now identified as consciousness, okay? It takes many different names, but it's identified in these present days as consciousness, all right? It is a conglomeration of many different ideologies, schools of thought, and knowledge. But what we're saying is this: inside of this circle, there's 1 million stories that have not been told, okay? And they need to be told. Nat Turner being one of them, but Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, okay? I could go on for days, all right? I could Queen Nzinga. You know what I'm saying? The Gullah Wars, the Geechee Wars, the Seminole Wars, the Barbary Wars, the Moors in antiquity, the ancient Kemetic Wars. Look at what they doing to you. Look at what they done did. You niggas didn't even burn down the studio when they were making the movie Gods of Egypt. They're going ahead. Gods of Egypt is alongside this thing that they doing to Michael Jackson, making him a fucking European. When he told you, when he had the thing with Oprah, and he said he would never want to be portrayed as a European. The greatest entertainer in the fucking world has been casted as a European. If that's not a declaration of war against your fucking legacy and your image as a people, as a culture, and as a race, you can't even claim them anymore. Okay? They took Cosby down, now they took Mike out. They made him a cracker. You cannot even let that, the same way that they did that shit to Snoop and them when they tried to film the video on Red Hook, them things came out, you gotta shut that set down. So they are moving forward in their campaign. They understand the power of Hollywood with the fucking wand, Kabbalah. They understand the power of imagery. They understand the power. They kiboshing you on that realm. So what I'm saying is, we have to now come together as a collective. I've been at the movie theaters. When the fucking credits roll, it's not 2 or 3 names. It's hundreds of people. Meaning in this community, all of the different artists, the costume designers, the screenwriters, the screenplays, the videographers, the editors, the actors, the casting, everybody has to come together. Get out of your ego. Get out of whatever the fuck you're in. I don't know what the people are in, but they in something that got them completely stagnated to where we just turn into a community of fanboys. We just sit back. We come into a community not of proactive, but reactionaries, okay? And chatty patties and just a whole bunch of other shit. This shit is getting real corny by the moment. You dig what I'm saying? So, KTLempowerment@gmail. Keep the conversation going. All of the creators out there, let's do the work. Peace and love, love and light.
Blue Pillar 44 on IG. Holla at your family. L_Filthmore on Instagram as well. All right. Holla at us, man. Shout out to my creatives that's been reaching out. I see y'all out there. All right. So 16 is our year. You already know what it is. 1.
You need that budget.